We're going to start talking about Linux now. Actually, this module is all about Linux. We need to talk about Linux because Linux is the operating system that is running on the Raspberry Pi. So when you use the Raspberry Pi, you're going to be using Linux. Now, most of what we're talking about is pretty much uniform for any Linux. Okay? We're talking about generic commands just to know your way around the operating system so that you can use it and feel comfortable using it. A lot of what we're going to talk about is about the text-based interface. We'll also talk about the graphic user interface, but the text-based interface is good because I can list everything that the operating system can do more easily in the text-based interface. And most of this, a lot of this can be done also in the graphic user interface. I'll show you some of that too. So let's start with the shell. Linux has a shell. A shell is basically a program that intercepts user input and executes commands. So it's just the interface, the program that reads what you type in and then outputs the results to the screen. So that's the shell. Now it's the text-based interface for the operating system. Now there are many shells you can run. Lots of different shells. SH was the original shell, right, for a Unix machine. C shell, TC shell. There's a whole bunch of shells, right? The shell we're using is Bash, Born Again Shell, B-A-S-H, Bash. That's a default one on Raspbian, for instance. And on most Linuxes now, people use Born Again Shell. It's a default shell. So when we open up a shell, when we start a terminal window and there's a shell running in it, it's Bash shell. You might want to know that if you want to do more sophisticated things later with shell scripting and stuff like that, you'll want to know which shell you're running. Now shells, as opposed to graphic user interfaces, using the shell it gives you more precise control as a user. Also, it's precise and complete. You can do everything out of the shell. Also, for remote use, if you want to connect to a device and use it over a network, something like that, a shell is much more convenient because sending the graphics information required for a GUI is slow, but also unnecessary, and it requires extra work on your part. So sometimes it's just easy to use a shell. Now, downside of the shell is that you really need to memorize a few of these basics in order to use it efficiently. You don't want to have to be looking up in a manual everything you want to do. So you want to have in your mind a set of commands, of basic commands that you just know in order to use a shell. I mean, I still look up things in the shell, but you want to have the basic commands in your head. So a console or a terminal. This is basically it's a text entry and display device. Okay, so it used to be a physical device. So you used to have like a VT100, a VT220 terminal. I had one of these in my house. It's like a screen, keyboard, and I'd connected by modem to the main computer, and it was my terminal, right, or my console. Now, basically, people don't usually use VT100 terminals at home anymore. Usually use virtual terminals. So virtual terminal means that's what we'd be using. It's a window that appears on your screen which runs a shell in it. So a terminal, its whole job is to run the shell. And to run whatever the shell program is, to read your input, and then send those shell commands to the operating system and get them executed, and then take the responses and print them to the screen. So a terminal is basically what's running the shell, or a console runs a shell. Virtual consoles are what we use, basically a window that a shell is running in. LX terminal is the terminal used in Raspbian, the default terminal. So there's an application called LX terminal, and you run that application. It'll open a window with a terminal in it. So from the GUI, so typically we're going to start the Raspbian with its GUI running, and then when we want a shell, we can start LX terminal and pop open a terminal. And by the way, to start, if you set up Raspbian, up in the top bar, there's a little picture, top toward the left, there's a little picture of a terminal, of a screen. You click on that and that starts a terminal. It starts LX terminal. So that's how you would typically invoke a terminal from Raspbian's GUI. And this is what LX terminal looks like. So once you once you start it, then you get a window that looks like this, and you can see in there's just a little bit of text and a prompt, $ prompt. After the prompt, you type in your commands, hit enter, and it executes them. Thank you.